Hello and welcome to International Basketball. Shona Thurburn here, flying solo in this episode to bring you all things Tokyo Olympics. And for those basketball fans, which I know you guys are, know that the women's quarterfinals is starting your time, my time tomorrow, but it will be starting shortly. So I'm here to talk to you guys about everything that's been going on at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics as far as basketball goes. I am a two-time Olympian with Canada. I know a little bit about what I'm talking about, so let's get into it. So first up tomorrow for me, we'll have Australia taking on the US. So the US finished first in their group. Australia barely squeaked by Puerto Rico. So they had to, I'm sure if you're a Canada basketball fan like I was, I woke up at 3 a.m. to watch that game against Spain. I was disappointed. I was heartbroken for them. And then I know, like all you other basketball fans, you sat there watching what was going to happen, because had some teams won or lost by certain amounts, Canada would have moved on. Unfortunately, Canada lost to Spain and they put their destiny in someone else's hands. And one of those teams was Australia. So Australia had to play Puerto Rico in the last group play, which was yesterday, and they had to win by 25 points. Okay, so Australia up one at half, and you're going, all right, this looks good for Canada. I feel good about this. And, well, I was wrong. I'm sure a lot of other fans who were watching were wrong as well. Australia absolutely came out and dominated in the second half. They beat Puerto Rico 51-25 in the second half and ended up winning by 27. Unfortunately, that knocked Canada out of the Olympics, and Australia progressed. And I really have to, hats off to them. It wasn't a great tournament so far for them in their previous two games. I don't think that they played well. Puerto Rico playing in their first Olympics, not necessarily at this level, but I didn't expect for Australia to come out and do that. So now they're taking on the US in the quarterfinals. Who finished first? Let's not forget about the GOATs and Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, but also Aja Wilson is just having a superb tournament for the US. She's playing in her first Olympics. And if I had to bet and I had to choose, I'm going to pick the US for this game over Australia. Okay, so let's move on to the next game in the quarterfinals, which is going to be China taking on Serbia. So China finished first in their group. Serbia finished second, just barely at that. They had to beat Korea, who were in the same pool as Canada and Spain. They had to beat Korea. Had they lost to Korea, Canada would have advanced again. I feel like there's a lot of scenarios where I can talk about how Canada could have advanced, but unfortunately, they let the destiny hands, in other teams' hands. So anyway, China is a hot team right now. I thought they were good. They've been improving. They're still really young. But they're probably one of the teams that I've been most impressed with in this tournament. Serbia, I had the pleasure of commentating them at the Eurobasket, which they won. Sonja Vasic, MVP of that tournament, well-deserved, had been playing great. They're not the team that I saw, 6 weeks ago, a month ago now. So I'm a little worried that maybe there's some ailments. It's been a long summer, an intense Eurobasket for them. They were at this level at the Eurobasket, and now they haven't really found their groove. That being said, I remember we beat them in pool play back in 2016, and then they went on and they beat, they won the bronze medal at the Rio Olympics. So are they capable? Absolutely. But do I think this is China and a young China team? Li Yuri has been playing great for them. You knew she was good. She's only 22 years old, probably one of the younger, best post players in the game right now. But it's all their other players they have around and the depth that they really have around. So if you're going to ask me, I'm going to have to go with China on this one over Serbia, just because I haven't seen the Serbia that I saw 6 weeks ago. If you had asked me 6 weeks ago, absolutely, I would have gone with Serbia. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back to talk about the other side. Well, welcome back. So, oh no, excuse me. Donate if you can. Canadian Blood Services, do not hesitate to help out. All right, so now let's talk about the other side of the bracket. We have we have Belgium taking on Japan. So this is when I saw the draw get announced yesterday after the end of group play was finished. I was kind of disappointed that I saw this draw come up, because I actually love these two teams. I love the way that both of them play. And I really thought, had the draw gone differently, we possibly could have seen both these teams in a semifinal. Unfortunately, now only one is going to make the semifinal. Emma Meesman for Belgium has been absolutely incredible. I think anyone who's been watching this tournament could not disagree with me when you say she's the MVP of this tournament so far. That being said, Kim Mestag, shooter for Belgium, she has not been on the mark. She wasn't on the mark at the Eurobasket, but they were able to pull off a bronze medal at that event. How does Japan stop a player like Emma Meesman? Maybe they can. Maybe defensively they can figure it out, especially if Belgium's shooters aren't fighting the bottom of the basket. So, like I said, I'm really disappointed, because I love the style that these two teams play. They're so unselfish. They know how to move the ball. They play great team basketball. They're always moving. They're always cutting defensively. And I think both of them are incredibly well coached. I do think Japan's Coach Tom Havas, is going to have something up his sleeves on how to stop the MVP of this tournament, Meesman. And if that does happen, I'm not sure that Belgium has enough talent. I'm not sure if they're deep enough on the bench to be able to beat Japan. Going back in, I think it was December, I was asked by FIBA, what my predictions were. And I said, I think Japan can be a surprise medalist at this tournament. And then, one of their best players, one of their best post players, and they're very thin, or not too tall, I guess you could say, at the post position, went down with an ACL injury, and she's not here at this Olympics. When that happened, I was like, okay, maybe they won't be as good as I think they could be. That being said, they have been absolutely incredible and so fun to watch. So, as much as I love Belgium, I'm going to have to go with Japan on this, the way they share the ball. Their point guard already has the assist record for an Olympics. They're fast. I mean, I think it was the Nigerian coach who said, what do? If you back up a little bit, they're going to shoot in your face and make a three. And if you get too close, they're going to drive right by you. And I think they're incredibly well coached, and they're going to have a good game plan to figure out how to stop one of the best players in the world. So I'm going to pick Japan for this game. So next up, we have Spain and France. These two teams know each other better than you know your sisters and brothers. I'm not kidding. They have gone head to head with each other for so many years in Europe. This year alone, I think they played each other, I'm going to say about 5 times, maybe even more, in exhibition games leading up to the FIBA Women's Eurobasket and this Olympic tournament. So do they know each other? Absolutely. Obviously, we were, basketball fans were kind of disappointed with Spain at Eurobasket. I know they were incredibly disappointed with their performance at Eurobasket. They were missing a couple players due to COVID. One of them being Alba Torrens, who is absolutely, has been one of the best players in the international game for Spain for so long. Not saying that's why they didn't play great, but they are definitely playing a lot better and kind of that typical Spanish team that you expect when you see Spain play. They play with freedom, they take chances, risks, I guess you could say, offensively and defensively. But then again, maybe they're not as strong as they have been and in years past where we have seen them medal at a World Cup, at an Olympics, and so on. France, on the other hand, I think they had their best game against the US. It was their last group game yesterday. And they ended up losing. I think they lost by around 11 points. They had to not lose by more than 15, or else Canada would have been in this quarterfinals. They ended up losing by, I'm going to say 11. And it's exactly what they needed to do. And I have to be honest, it was the best game I think I have seen them play maybe all summer. And keep in mind, I covered this team. I had the opportunity to comment all the games at Eurobasket. So I covered this team a lot. I've seen them play in preparation. I saw them at the entire Eurobasket. Do they have the skill and talent? Absolutely. Have they figured out how to put it together? Playing against the US, maybe they have figured it out. But I'm going to say they have a little bit of a mental block at the end of the day when it comes to Spain. And I think Spain is going to go into that game with something to prove and the confidence that France just doesn't have. And I live in France. I coach in France. I've played in France a long time before. Not going to say I'm close to being half French, but I know the women and I want them to succeed because I coach some of them. But I'm going to have to go with Spain on this one. So more or less, that's kind of my roundup. Moving ahead, so I have Australia taking on China in a semifinal, and then I have Spain are going to be taking on Japan. Maybe we'll talk before the semifinals or before the finals. I could be wrong. I think so far this tournament has been incredibly exciting, incredibly nerve-wracking. FIBA decided to go with a little bit of a different group phase and then playoff phase as they have in the last two Olympics. And it has definitely made for some calculations to be done and whatnot just to get to this point. I really do believe all 8 teams that are playing in the quarterfinals have a possible chance to medal if they can win tomorrow. So stay tuned. I know my alarm is set for 3 a.m. so I can watch that first game, and I'll be watching throughout the day. It was great being here, and we'll see you guys later.